show. So, Jan told me that. Welcome to Scienceworks. Thank you very much for coming out here. This is only my second TeachMeet, so if I look like I'm not completely well versed in the usual protocols, it's because it's only my second time, and so I'm sort of still feeling my way around. I did thoroughly enjoy the experience of the last one at Wesley College, which was fantastic. And so yeah, that's why I definitely was keen to participate with this one that we've got today. For those of you that haven't already found your way around, in terms of facilities, as Cam's already mentioned, there is Wi-Fi. I'm not sure how good it is down here on the lower ground floor, but we'll find out today, I guess. It's all right, yeah. So it's the museum visitor network that you're actually looking for. There's a few that you'll actually no doubt pick up. Toilets, okay, so just outside the door on the other side of the stairwell there's male and female toilets across the way. Please make sure that you eat up as much as you possibly can. Me and the missus are both on diets, and we've got a 2.5-year-old that is not a sweet tooth at all, likes chips, does not like savoury, so cannot take anything home. What else do I have to mention? Now, you're here at Scienceworks, and what I would really recommend for you to do is enjoy yourself while you're here. So after the presentations are over, you're not going to be ushered out the door through the back entrance here. Okay, so you're welcome to stay as long as you want. There's heaps to see. If you haven't been here for a while, I think your head has been open for nearly a year now. I think it opened about 51 weeks ago now. And that's a fantastic new exhibition. That's sort of a real sort of digression from the way that the exhibitions used to be developed here. And so I'm sure that you'll enjoy that. And Science Fiction, Science Future is another one that's only for a limited time only, that's well worth seeing. There are other exhibitions around. Sportsworks, Deep Oceans has got a surcharge, which I'm not sure exactly how much it is. And it's the same for the planetarium. There is a surcharge for the planetarium. So if you want to go to either of those, just go to the admissions desk. Now, I think, is there anything else I need to mention? No? All right, so without further ado, I'll invite Mark up for our first presentation. Thank you very much. Mark.
Thanks, by the way. Are you the time?
Yes.
This is my first time presenting, so 7 minutes is very yeah, sure. Look, this is actually a project that Museum Victoria Scienceworks and a number of associations such as DLT, Digital Learning Teachers Victoria, and History Teachers Association, Geography Teachers did. They looked at the Think Ahead exhibition, which I recommend you have a look at before you leave, which is really the futurist sort of look at exhibition. There's a permanent exhibition here, and we're setting up a PD to actually look at it from different lenses of different subjects. So, because of Digital Learning Teachers Victoria starting this year, at the same time that we had the digital technologies curriculum coming out, and I recommend, by the way, if you want this down the bottom there, don't ask what's on the DLTV website, you can download that whole presentation. So ictnservices.com/thinkahead.pdf. So you can download it, this is the whole presentation. Okay. I'll put it over here. So Digitech is part of the second raft of the Australian curriculum. It can be implemented in schools as of next year. It needs to be fully implemented in Victorian schools by 2007. In fact, despite what you might be still going ahead to download the scope and sequence. It's not out on Ausspells yet, but what you'll see on the Australian curriculum side is, in fact, 95% of what will be the Ausspells section. So what we looked at was really looking at, I suppose, the different sorts of thinking in that. So the technologies curriculum has two parts: design thinking and Digitech, and we're looking at really three thinking: computational thinking, systems thinking, and design thinking. And I'll have, in 7 minutes, you'll have to go through that. If you go to the DLTV website, we're starting to get some resources on the terminology of digital technologies curriculum. They're free downloads, so I recommend you go to those. We're looking at strands here of digital systems and representation of data. A lot of stuff you'll see at Think Ahead will fit into that. And there's obviously the second part of actually students producing stuff. There's many people here who are actually doing stuff, producing stuff, coding, and all sorts of things like that. So basically this presentation was looking at the actual just 1/4 or 1/5 of that Think Ahead exhibition, which is on communication, looking at the DigiTech curriculum, how it fitted in, and some digital resources. So this was just looking at resources rather than actually kids making stuff at this stage, but certainly making would be part of that. So I just broke it up into 4 themes that you'll see in the presentations part down there. And then we just went through, and in this exhibition picked a whole lot of things that you get from digital resources, including Scoodle, Splash, Field, plus all the other ones. And just using Creative Commons ones. So for instance, in computational thinking and people here, such as Michael's done a lot of work on that. We just looked at some resources there. So you can download all these, see us unplugged if you haven't looked at that, some fabulous stuff. And I know that Mel, you've been working with Tim from New Zealand. Fabulous free resources on how you can actually teach DigiTech and all those concepts without having a computer. We looked at internet, big data, and cloud computing. So there's stuff there on ABC Splash. You can have a look through all this sort of stuff here. A lot of Scoodle stuff. And a lot of Scoodle stuff that doesn't actually relate to technology, might relate to English or history, things like that. A whole lot of stuff on gaming down there, wearable technologies and drones. I've come across schools such as Kingswood Primary School, which actually got a drone program. It's actually an after-school club, but schools they investigate that. Wearable technologies, enough technologies that kids can actually make their own things there as well. Computer games, there's more resources there. Wearables, some of Google Glass. This is interesting. This is wearable technology, 17th century, believe it or not. This is actually an advocate for this you can actually do something on that ring, amazing. Some stuff on drones there, etc. And of course, drones comes into a whole lot of things, and I think if you look at Think Ahead, there is a whole social context. I mean, drones can be really good for taking fabulous photographs and stuff. I saw some stuff on journal pictures from that, but there's also obviously the use of weapons. And a whole lot of stuff on robots there. So that's a really good look. And if you want to see the whole variety of robots, that's just a free iPad app on that. So basically, that's that. But what I'd like to really think about that is that we can actually 2 things. Firstly, in digital technologies curriculum, I won't go through it all, but if you want to look at how DLTV can support you in your school, look through that. Contact me. I'll put my details up there. Grab a card from me. We can certainly support you in your school doing that. But the other thing is, if you have a look at Think Ahead and you think there's some stuff that fits in with some work you're doing on coding or wearables, whatever, let me know, because I think it would be a really great idea that we build up some resources for that, so we can actually have people can come here, look at the exhibition, and then say, hey, here's some digital technology resources, maybe something to do on wants to take up. But I know that if I lock you people up in a room for a day today, we'd actually get a whole unit of work based on that. Okay, so there's more stuff on there about all that 3D program. Thanks very much.
Are you still yeah. I didn't get to use my 1 minute warning.
Oh, you okay. All right, so the 5 strands of DLTV already PD are ones for leadership. We started doing that last week, so that's for school leaders, Prince and APs. We're doing one for DigiTech Ready certificate, which is a 20-hour blended learning thing for the person who will be stuck in the school to actually not only implement it in the school, but then also do the PD and as well as teaching it. There's one called a boot camp where a teacher wants to come along, just get some activities to teach. And as I said, we have to do a level 2 course. And after that, we do hope to actually provide some school consultancy. So as I said, if there's anything there about digital technology, your school will need to take it on at some stage before 2017. I thoroughly recommend, because it's something you need to play with and explore, that you start the process next year, right? There's no, that's really, if you leave it till the end, because there's a whole other raft of things going on there. And I think there's my the phone number, my email, all that sort of stuff. Okay. Yes.
So where did you say we could tap into the PowerPoint or download the PowerPoint from?
You can, yeah.
From where?
To put it there. Oh, hang on, let me, sorry. I'm going to put it to the end as well. There you go, there's another one.
So the address the bottom. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Ron.
Does anybody have any questions? Any other questions, Rob? What do you see the greatest challenge for most schools, Martin, in the implementation?
I think it's, look, I mean, we've all seen curriculum coming into schools, and it's often something that you can just grab and take. And Mel, you would know this better than I would, because you've been through part of the focus school and actually where teachers have been brought in by the Victorian Curriculum Assessment Authority. It is really something that you need to play with and explore and work out. Do you want to? Yeah, probably answer that better than I.
For me, it's around the why. It's really understanding why this is important and why we need to be teaching our kids about this. Yeah. I think
how do you attack that with the staff?
That's a good question.
And longer than 7 minute answer.
And I think it's, for me, it's about the connection to science. Why do we think it's important that our students know how lightning works? Or why do we think it's important that our students know how the moon and the earth relate to each other? The same as how do we know how a computer works, and because it has so much to do with our daily lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what we're sort of doing in those PDs are that they are exploratory in a way where people will go through that, and they need to go through and then map that into their school context. Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much. John, you're on next.
Yes. Yes.
I'm scared of you, Joe.
You have a...
No, where am I going? That one.
Do you want to go home? It's actually interesting. There's 2 cards opened up down one, John.
I'm going to go and drag my thing on the
There's 2 cards.
everybody opened up the
Does anyone else want to
Sorry,
go?
guys.
Does anyone else?
John, is it the third one? Is there a one on your address box?
It's sort of like skiing.
The third back.
Oh, select mission.
It was a Google short.
Extra far.
Yeah.
Use the 3.
Yeah, good. So, next quiz, what's up? Where is it gone? Right, okay, what we're looking at here is a sparrow. And it's a little ball that you work with, and it's draining the power out of my phone. I'm not going to bring it home. But it's great fun. Now, this set of slides. There's a couple of other things in here that somebody else, so if you want to use it and everything else, please respect the licenses that come with it and that sort of stuff. There's the URL there if you want to take a picture of it. I'll show again at the end. So if you want to follow along or play with it and that sort of stuff, grab it. Otherwise, take a picture or see if you can read the QR code and grab it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So, what's the sparrow? Well, you can see it wherever it's gone now. Where's it gone now?
It's over there.
It's over there. Are you doing anything else with it? There's more to it than just rolling around.
I was trying to get it out, and then it told me to go boost things, but I could make it go.
Oh, you've been touching it now. Beck's got control, and it's not fair because we mentioned. If you want to find out a bit more about sparrow and everything else, this little guy here, Apple Tech, please. There you go through. And it's a 15-year-old, so it gives it to you from that point of view. All about sparrow, what's involved with sparrow, and so on and so on and stuff. So if you want to find out a bit more about it, you can do that. Check out what he does with it. You can see, there's the interface, what it looks like on the phone, and so forth, and other bits and pieces. And then you can run it around and play with it, and all sorts of things. And there are lots of other apps that come with Sparrow that you can do things with as well too. So it's more than just a little ball that rolls around the floor. It's also got the capability to do other things with it in terms of working with it and get this computational thinking and other things back. And Sphero recognises this, and they've got this program here, Schools, Parents, Robots, Kids. It's their education program. And they've got some lessons in there, and the kids, again, there's a movie there where the kids talk about the Sphero and how they use it in their classroom. There's a classroom teacher, an actual real teacher, as opposed to me, who's working with it in the classroom. Ben, can you make it change colours?
No.
No, you can, yeah. And you can also, of course,
Oh, yes.
Sphero's got a YouTube channel that will, oh, look at that, it's going to change your colours, beautiful. Can you make it, oh, look at that, oh, it's changing all sorts of colours all at once. Crazy, crazy, crazy. And on the YouTube channel, they've got lots of tips, tricks, and everything else. And Sphero's more than just a ball too. There's another little guy called Ollie that goes with it too, which is really, really interesting too. So the Sphero YouTube channel is really interesting. And their Vimeo channel, they seem to put more onto the Vimeo channel. It's better than their YouTube channel. And if you go to the retail training video, that sort of shows you how to start it up and set it up. The first time I got it out of the box and everything else, and I tried to set it up according to what the instructions were, I was about 3 days later going, I've paid $170 for this and it doesn't do anything other than look like a little ball that doesn't bounce. But I was being too gentle, because when you want to get started, you've got to wake it up. And what they suggest doing is actually tapping. But it's more like, and it starts it up. So check out the retail training video. And there are lots and lots, no, he says lots and lots. There are a number of different apps and that are out there, and the SDK is open source, so people are playing with it and working with it. But the two ones that are most important for us probably are the All Basic and the Sphero Macro Lab, because they're the two apps which allow you to actually program it. With Macro Lab, oh, hang on, with All Basic, it's got a number of preloaded ones where you can actually modify what's already preloaded. So that's a nice way of working with these sorts of things, because it's always better, I think, to deconstruct before you construct. So if you've got something that you can pull apart and see what happens, then it sort of makes sense a little bit better. And I'm not going to be on the phone for another month, it'll be all gone. So yeah, those two programs there, All Basic and Macro Lab, are other things. I came across also this other site here, Sphero Rangers, which is a group in the States there, who were working with, that's an out-of-school group, with parents and that sort of stuff, and working with Sphero. And they've got some really nice resources stuff in there. So their programming presentation has got a whole lot of tips on what to do with Sphero, how to work with it and everything else. And they've also got some other sort of cheat sheets in there too. So again, clicking any of the links here will take you off to get some more information about it. And then you've got people like Dan. Most people in the room know Dan. You know, and Dan will take something like this and turn it into something absolutely completely different. And what he's done here, he brought Sphero along. You can read the story of Fergus on the link there. He took Fergus, his Sphero along, called it Fergus, introduced it to, so I think they're grade 1s and 2s, and just rolled it around the floor like we're doing here at the moment. And then asked the kids, where did it come from? So they had to come up with the story of where it came from. And then it must have obviously been in November, because they wanted Sphero to have a mustache. And so this is the story of Sphero and how he got, where he came from, how he got his mustache, and what's going on. And it's fabulous way of showing that whatever you've got can be turned into something else completely different. So it's literacy. It's nothing to do with anything else other than choosing that as a stimulus. And there are a number of accessories you can do with your Sphero too. You can buy this thing here. It'll cover. How are we over time? There we go. You've got another 10 seconds and a half. This thing here, Nubby, the little cover to go over the top, because even though it's fairly robust, when you're rolling it around apparently on rough surfaces, concrete and everything else, it will scratch up and so forth. So, and also this gives it a bit more grip. You'll find that on carpet and things like that, it's actually relatively slow. It's got a range of 30 metres apparently, and some of the pictures that you can see, some of the movies, it really hums along. So you've got this Nubby thing here, and this also. also got this little cradle thing here, which you can whack your sparrow in. Just sits inside, and it's got 2 wheels on the back, and it's got Lego connection thingies here, so you can connect Lego on. It's also got the capability here to pull this thing your hair out, and you can actually put something else in there, like another phone thingy, that sort of stuff, jam it in the back, so you can control it with one and breeze or do other things and take pictures or whatever, yada, 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 as your sparrow's running around, and so on and so on and so on. And you get that from the sparrow store. And this is just so nice. I just got to play a little bit. So tell me back by that. Golden sparrows, choreographed. And of course, because they have light, you turn the lights out. And of course, you can change the lights. Super gorgeous. So where's the blues garbage? You know, you've got kids sitting up, you're just looking for that little, oh, just cuts the face there. Okay, alright, you can have a look at the later on. So,
How long did that take? Mate.
oh, God, that'd be nice.
I know.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I didn't make it. Don't make it, sorry. Yeah. So there you go, this is URL, there's the other. I haven't only got one, I can't afford. In the States, you can buy these in Australia. There is a space where you can buy it, if you look it up. But in the States, they sell them refurb ones for $700 for 10 of them, I think. Oh. But they don't sell that in the States, apparently. So it's a bit of a pain. It's 160 roundabout. Or if you bought it on Black Friday, it was $30 off, so I was thinking about 130. So there you go. Good job.
Oh, yeah,
We're on the phone to the States, right?
Beautiful.
So do they have any onboard sensors and stuff, or is it
No,
just
it's just water stuff. It's waterproof too, so it can go in the water. And yeah. So it's good along with water. Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
So, and it's an induction charger. I should show you the charger. Maybe this is the charger. Sits in a little cradle like that. Plug it in. Okay, just sits in there. Wheels around quite it's okay. It's happy, and the little light goes. Get about 45 minutes. I think it's about that.
Thank you very much, John.
How do you do that in there? Do they have that program?
Program, yeah.
So you program it
With apps.
with the app?
Yeah, macro level or all zero, two apps that we program.
Alrighty, next up we have Sylvia taking us on a Twitter tour.
No, telling a story.
Ah.
Telling a story that started at another TeachMeet. And actually, this is the second time I've done a TeachMeet presentation, which followed on from the previous one. Another one was one of John's stories where he did something about Digo, and I followed it through as kids and I told that story. So this is a follow-up from the last TeachMeet. And Cam and Jan are going to butt in at any time because it's much their story as mine. And it's told with permission of Michelle Scott, who's a lady I work with, who's down at the Queenscliff Folk Festival, or whatever's on there this weekend, and would love to be here and there at the same time. So she chose them. So, once upon a time in TeachMeet only last month, Cam and Jan shared their story about doing Twitter tours in the New Zealand, Victoria, under the MB Teachers banner. And whilst watching that, Michelle was not at that TeachMeet, but she was watching the Twitter feed, and she immediately connected the idea of the Twitter tour, which I'm not going to go and explain to you today, how it could work with what's going to be happening in our class students in a couple of weeks after that. Our students are going to go on one of those normal, everyday geography walks, wander down the street, have a look at two different environments, the country, not urban environment, and an urban street. So Michelle thought, how much more value could she get out of that way of adding Twitter value to it? So she contacted Cam and Jan and said, inspired by the idea of using Twitter to connect to people whilst walking, whilst doing things, could she connect with them with the Museum Victoria staff whilst the students were doing this walk? So of course, with the people in this room, they said absolutely yes. So our name of the walk became a Twitter tour. We're going to 2 destinations in natural environment. I'm trying to say a moment ago. Warranty Walk, it's very close to our school, and the urban environment, which is our Canterbury Road shopping street. Conversation started almost immediately when the kids got to the park. They saw these bugs on the ground. They took some photos. With help, and all this, I have to say, it's very much guided by the teachers at this point. The kids weren't at the understanding of who they were communicating with, what was going on, even though they met Cam and they knew he was watching because they'd been to the museum before. So they needed it. This was very much a teacher-led activity as far as modelling. Michelle got students to take the photo and say, ask normal curious questions, what is it? So they could, leeches, caterpillars, got that conversation going, tweeted it out, and the conversation came straight away. Priscilla, who I haven't actually met, was part of your team, was watching. So she said straight away to our students, whilst they're in the park, I'll go and ask an entomologist. We don't normally have one of those at our beck and call whilst we're walking. But not just that, she also gave ideas for the students to continue the curiosity. It was a matter of, have you asked the right questions? How many legs has it got? Have you looked at it? Trying to do the scientific inquiry practice was actually added to the equation. And did you know that there's and that you could have that could help you actually identify things and feel by that, you could do that. So whilst the students are actually immersed in the activity, they've been given ideas as to how to extend it beyond the usual atmosphere. So whilst they're in there, they find out that it actually was the larvae of a deadly skeletonized beetle. Here's a picture, prove it while they're looking on the devices in the park, and that kids are quite happy about that. I think that was obviously one of the students put on was that they did emoticons, which I think the teachers had to do. So then they wandered off down to the more urban environment, Canterbury Road platform, and start doing comparisons. Which was the purpose of the trip. They were doing similarities and differences between different environments. So they're looking at things that were actually walked with no power lines, but here they are in the street. So they're taking the photos with purpose, knowing that people are looking at them. So we get some input. Was it Cam? Was it you? Happens to know that State Library has a picture of the street we're walking along from 1975. Sharpies in Blackburn South in 1975, that kid's walking on there in 2014.
You can say the frame.
Actually did go to our school.
Oh, really?
People know, we do know some of them.
How did they turn out?
We were walking along, our kids were walking along the street in 2014, looking at an image that's just been provided to them by a device of what it looked like in 2014. Sorry, another way, 1975. I can't think of any more powerful experience than that. So it didn't wait until they came back 2 weeks later and they could look it up. It was happening at the time. So even though they didn't do it the right angle, they changed the wrong. So they took the photo in the wrong direction. They're on the same street anyway. And you got immediate feedback at the museum, didn't you? Straight away you knew that there was a conversation going on. So what did they learn? I dropped in there for about 10 minutes yesterday. So I didn't get probably the deepest thoughts from, but these were straight out of their face mouth, so to speak, what they thought they learned. Teachers well. Sometimes teachers don't do things, but it's good to get other people's answers. If students let that, they've learned really good things. They know that the teachers don't know everything, but we model to those kids that we don't know everything, we're happy to go out and ask other people and to expose ourselves to learners. And it's just that process of connecting with trusted people. Now, as I said, I was only there for a few minutes, but I thought this we can have Jan said you might want to see who you were talking to. So, you interview kids and you get fantastic response, then put the camera on and then give you rubbish. Silly.
We learned using Twitter on our walk that it's to communicate with people that we trust from around. That it's okay to use different devices to learn.
Very clear.
Now, and we
Yeah, it wasn't really very clear. The main point is that in the powerful discussion yesterday was the fact that we discussed the trusted sources. We weren't just going out to anybody. We discussed how to filter the appropriateness of the answers. We knew we had a trusted relationship with people we were getting that from. We discussed what we would have done if we had feedback from you. We were live on Twitter. If we had feedback from anybody, what would we had to have done with that information? It was the one that wanted it. I'm very happy to stop talking. That's it. And thank you to the Museum Victoria staff who made that happen. It wouldn't have happened without that media hands.
So everybody got questions? Yeah?
When you did that, did you have to give kids like their own iPad and say, off you go? You had, or the teacher had a iPad and goes, what how did?
We managed to, only one of the teachers really okay with Twitter. So she used her iPad, her phone logged into our school account. And so she was totally monitoring that. It was a modelled activity. It was not that we didn't have any free reign at that point. At primary school kids aren't allowed to anyway. So that's our role, this set of services, just to model that. So it was done with, but those the two devices were shared amongst people, but they were always monitored before this was made public.
Okay. So they would like draft what they were, and then show teachers.
Yeah. And she had to very much negotiate the questioning skills. They weren't really getting it for the first bit, so it was learning on the way. I'm not saying it's all the kids work by any means. This was very much the beginning stage where the kids needed to see it. It's interesting to do it again. Yeah.
What's the school account?
SL Blackburn South, STH. I'll tweet it out in a minute.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you very much. Jacqueline and Jack.
Okay, by way of introduction, Jacqueline Sexton is a student at Monash University. She's an undergraduate student in history and education. And in 2012 and in 2014, Monash Uni History Department have had a partnership with the museum and our Making History project, which was a project funded through the Department of Education. I can't remember how many years ago now, but we developed Making History, and some of you might know Making History. Alistair Thompson was one of the historians we featured on that website, and he decided to use the project with his undergraduate students as an exercise in, I suppose, using the capacity of 21st century learning tools to have his students think about ways of presenting history. Jacqueline was one of the outstanding award winners at the presentation we had at the Immigration Museum a couple of weeks ago. And when we had a conversation, she said she was also an education student. And I thought this was a really good opportunity to share with you what's happening in undergraduate learning with regard to using technology and the humanities. So over to you, Jacqueline.
Thanks for having me. I'm quite conscious that I'm speaking to people who are qualified, as opposed to being a first year student. But I had to do this subject. It's part of our course requirements. But even if I didn't have to, I would have jumped at it for two reasons. One, because I love history, and the chance to actually make your own history was just too appealing to give up. But also because I want to be a history teacher. And in the back of my head, I was thinking one day I'll be lucky enough to have a class of kids of my own. And it's something that I think I would really like to do with them, because in essence, it is exactly what it says it is. It's making history. And to say to someone, you, within your own capabilities, are able to look and research and make your own version of history. It doesn't reside in some old person's head. You have the power, and you are intelligent enough, and you are interesting enough and you are able enough to do this for yourself. And so I certainly had a fantastic experience making my own history. I was lucky enough to have access, we all were, to Museum Victoria's catalogues, and early curators suggested some topics that haven't been fully investigated by them yet. One of them was a particular woman called Florrie Hodges, and that's who I decided to do my project on. And this is it. So it's digital history, so you can only go for 3 minutes. It's a worldwide thing. It's happening in lots of different places. So it's extremely exciting to log on and see what people are doing in different places. It's a small snapshot. It's really approachable for students, I think, at least. I certainly found it approachable. And the great thing about it too is that I think it's not only about history, you can do this with any subject. And it's speaking a language that kids already speak, but also one that they're going to have to speak more. And so I think it has just incredible opportunities, and I'm really excited to dig into it. So I'd like to have a look at this. And actually, I really recommend going to Vimeo to make a history site, because there are 50 others that my classmates did, and they are fantastic and they are so interesting. And it gives a little bit of an idea about what's out there, what people can do.
She was 14 when the fire came. It was 1926, in the forested hills of Powelltown, a timber dry logging settlement found in the Yarra Ranges, northeast of Melbourne. Stuck in the bush, there was no adult to save her. The fire was fast, ferocious, and everywhere. Many had died. Surprisingly, she had not. She had stood over her siblings, shielding them from the very fire that raged over her. They survived, but her body paid a horrible price. She spent months in a faraway Melbourne hospital, coaxing her traumatised body back to life. Australia was shocked by the fire and the ferocious consequences of its power, and by the heroic actions of ordinary people who stood in the face of it. For the community, they promised to rebuild. For her, they responded by organising one of the first national fundraising drives. School children in particular, from all across the country, gave pennies to a lifelong health fund for her. We know his story. Its heartbreak is familiar to us. It has been lived by many people across the generations. It is the reality of living here, in this patch of earth. Yet there are questions. How did we forget her? How have we managed to forget so much? I will be shocked anew when the fires come again. And if this story is a repeat, if it seems destined to happen again, do we need to change? Or is this amnesia simply part of the story? This is her story, and through it, we know part of our story. Her name is Florrie Hodges.
That's it. answering that question, but well done for being a pre-service teacher and speaking as a teacher. Thanks.
Thank you, Jackie.
How much research was there, Jackie? The primary source, where'd you get them from?
Yeah, lots. So it's primarily primary source that was used in video. And the Museum Victoria had so many fantastic resources. A lot of it was self-guided though. So if you're working with secondary school kids and even primary school kids, I'm sure it could be adapted to that. There would be a lot of scaffolding involved, I think. But that's all part of it too, isn't it, to learn how to access those things. So everything was sourced from the music to all of that. So learning about creative content, copyright, all those sorts of things as well, which is incredibly important as we move further into this technology.
And do we have access to those resources?
The project was built as a school project. So we've taken it to the tertiary level, but if you go onto the site, you can see that there are primary students have produced work and secondary students. And next year, we're working with Blackburn South, and we're working with Ringwood Secondary College. And if anyone else who wants to work with us, come and see me. We have a look at the primary and secondary programs that we've also. We had a lot of schools in the first year we ran the project using it for language studies. We've got some great language program, language teachers using it. So it was built for primary and secondary, and we moved it into tertiary, but it runs across the whole lot.
The Museum Victoria website is fantastic. It has so many incredible resources for every single way.
Yeah.
Most people actually, my classmates, most of them did family histories, but for a few reasons it's probably very possible. And the curators had suggested 12 or so, 10 or 12 subjects, and she just kind of popped out. I wanted to do a book because I feel like history, women's history, is not that much. And I think in light of the recent fires as well, it just really and that's the interesting thing though, it jumped out at me. My boyfriend said, why you picked her out? I never have picked her out. She's so interesting now. But I said, well, what would you have picked? And he said, I don't know. And eventually, he worked out what he would have done. And it's the whole world that you can pick anything. And it's just so fascinating.
What happened to her?
Pardon?
What did you do in university?
A little bit. It was a bit hard to find contacts.
She wasn't
No, she died in 1971. But it's just a beautiful story. Rebecca Carlin, the lady at Museum Victoria, who ran the course with Monash, she sent her digital histories to her colleagues around the world, one of whom Switzerland. This lady forwarded on to a friend who was in Melbourne, who was actually the granddaughter or great-granddaughter of Laurie. And she'd never seen a picture of her before. She sort of knew the story, but she sort of took her as really fun flying. So which is incredible too, because as a learner, that's so encouraging to think that you can make a difference. There's a scope out there. You don't have to wait until you've got lots of PhDs and learners on your name to be able to think about history and be involved and understand it, contextualize it as well, to realise that there's a really strong relationship between history and people and the creative talent. Yeah, really.
Thank you. All right, folks, it's time for a 10-minute break. So, come up your caffeine levels. The restrooms are just opposite, just outside the door, and we'll reconvene shortly.
Yeah.
Stay looking at me. Go back. It's your home.
All right, thank you very much. Looks like we've still got quite a few Lamingtons. Lamingtons aren't bad, so please do have a crack at those. We don't get a refund, so make sure you take some for the drive home or wherever your next port of call happens to be. Next, I'll introduce Vic, who's going to talk to us about code. Thank you.
Well, kind of. So I've made a little bit of a presentation. It's at bit.ly, so bit.ly/TeachMeet Melbourne and then CTF. There's no writing in this, it's just pictures that Mel took, so thank you, Mel. But there's, oh, there it is. Oh, you've got too many M's here. Too many M's. Oh, Okay, so Spoken Mel was Startup Weekend Education in Melbourne, and it was held Cup Weekend. It was organised by Mel down here, Hamish Curry, Simon Robinson, and Marina. And it was a startup weekend basically designed to solve the world's education problems, I suppose. And I can tell you that I went to bed Sunday night thinking that I could single-handedly solve the world's education problems. Obviously, I haven't yet. But I sure felt like I could. And it was an amazing experience because over the past, few months, I suppose, I've been to a lot of education conferences and things like that, and I've left feeling very uninspired and not happy with what I was, experiencing. And I wouldn't say pressured. I was coerced into attending the startup weekend, and I was petrified. I was actually scared because when I read about it, it said it wasn't just for educators, anybody could come, like developers and designers and all these types of people, and I'm like, oh, I can't work with them. And so I actually ended up going along, and it was probably the best education event I've been to in my career yet. And the reason was, and I think for me, the best part was working with people who weren't educated. That was the best part, and probably at the same token the most difficult part, because it was hard. And on the day, so this photo here is really interesting because on one of the presentations I think that Hamish did, he had this, like a 6-step process or whatever about how you would feel during the weekend. And it was like, the first step is, yeah, it's really exciting, really awesome, and we can do anything. And then as you go through the day, it's like, oh, this is crap, I can't do it, it's too hard, blah, blah. And then when you get through that hurdle, everything's exciting again. So you can see, well, on my face right here that I'm about ready to kill somebody. But I didn't. Everybody's still alive. But it was absolutely fantastic. And what happened was there were 8 groups. So each group basically, on the Friday night, they pitched an idea. You decided which group you were, I suppose, most passionate about, or the one that you wanted to work with. And then you spent the whole weekend going through the design thinking process and coming up with a solution for the problem. And these are some of the ideas and the pitches. And ours is number 8, Code the Future. And I just like this picture because everybody's got to but it was fantastic because they've actually created something real. So this is Code the Future. And Code the Future is about connecting developers and educators to help kids in schools learn to code. And our problem was the fact that, computer scientists, people who are developers, and enrolments in those types of degrees are declining. And the world, especially Australia, doesn't have enough people in that industry. So what we want to do is start early, and especially with the implementation of the new digital technologies curriculum. It's a crucial time in Australia for getting educators on board and understanding what the future of education should be and should look like in Australia. And it's been pretty exciting. So at my last count, I think yesterday we had 168 people already signed up. We were, that's our mission, to forge crucial links between the technology industry and education to become partners in learning. So it's going beyond just getting a developer in a school to do a code club. We're not Code Club Australia, we're different to that. We actually want to get teachers and developers talking and working together and collaborating and creating opportunities for students together, not separate. And so we're featured in Age, which is pretty exciting. And then since then we've had a lot of other people coming and talking to us, and we've going to different events and trying to meet as many people as possible who are interested in and believe in our cause. What I suppose we need, obviously, is people to come and sign up. So if it's something that you think you would be interested in, check out codefuture.org. Sign up as an educator. If you know developers, we need lots and lots of developers, because obviously that's the problem that we're trying to solve, is that there's not enough developers. So we're never going to have enough developers. And what we're doing at the moment is collecting submissions for a pilot project. So if you've got an idea of something that you wouldn't want to do, probably term 1 next year, because we're running out of time for this year, is get on board, fill out your project. So your project can be anything. So some of the submissions that we've had so far is getting developers in to help kids create math games for younger students. One from Port Macquarie in New South Wales was to get a developer in working together to create a new Year 8 elective for a high school. So it can be completely open. It's whatever you would like to do. You submit it. I can't guarantee that I'll find you a developer, but I'll sure try. And some of the developers that we're getting in as well are so passionate. And the best thing is that it's free, because we're relying on volunteers. So basically, there are these developers out there in this community that actually want to get involved, and they're so passionate about the future and what they think is so important that they're actually willing to give up their time to come into schools. Depending on that person and their time frame and their workload, that could be different hours and whatever. So that's something that you can connect and collaborate with the developer on. But it's really exciting, and there's a video of Kate and Margot on codefuture.org if you want to check it out. Have I said codefuture.org enough yet? And also on the button there, follow us on Twitter and Facebook. I'm always researching and trying to find the best articles and things out there about coding in education, and hopefully we get some more people on board, I think. And thanks to Chris and Margaret, who were mentors on the day as well. On the weekend.
I can't wait we make all that money.
And
Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I've got a lot of friends who do a lot of coding, do astronomy. Happy with that? I don't know. Yeah, so I went to university. Well, and particle physics, and everyone in the building basically won't see this. So that's
that would be amazing. Yeah, thank you so much.
From the group, from when you were setting it up, is it just yourself now, or is
we started with a group of
Well,
we started with 4, but there's just 2 of us. So Will Egan, who works for Osmond Education, he is a digital marketer. That was probably one of the most surprising things about the weekend, is actually meeting people who don't work in education but are so passionate about education. It was really exciting. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Beck. And next on the ticket, we've got Jacinta talking us about girls and STEM.
Alright, yes, thanks Michael. My name is Jacinta and I'm going to revitalise the whole discussion on girls in STEM because I think they're maybe a little bit lax in that. And I could talk about this for hours on end, but I'm going to try and condense it down as much as possible and just give you some of the key issues that I've come across in the last couple of months when I've really been looking at this issue in quite some detail. Follow me on Twitter at Scopes and Schools, but I usually tweet about astronomy, so something different. And just a little bit of background on me. I'm actually a physicist, but not an astronomer. I'll talk about that later. I've been a physics and maths teacher as well, and I'm still dabbling in that a little bit. I'm the mother of 2 girls, so I do kind of see the issues coming up in various ways, both in schools and in my home. And I work at the University of Melbourne in the School of Physics. And what I've been doing there, other than telescopes in schools, is looking at diversity and equity issues. And I've been doing a really big study in the number of females in the department at the moment, particularly in the undergraduate years, and following the numbers on how they've been changing over the last decade and from year to year. And I've been talking to students, having focus groups, and I've surveyed a whole heap of students to see what their perceptions are, as well as trying to figure out why we haven't got that many girls in physics. So the issues, and there's quite a lot, and I'm probably not going to cover any depth, or I'm not going to be able to cover all of them, but the way I see it is our female numbers are declining. It's really good to hear about VEX talk and a lot of the IT stuff done in here, but I don't know if you probably are aware of it. 10 years ago we had 12,000 girls doing VCE IT. Last year it was about 2,000. Shocks, yes. And it's not that different, and it's getting worse as we go along, and it's the same with maths, it's the same with physics, it's the same with girls talking about going into engineering. So in the physics department, looking particularly at second year students and third year students, we've gone from about 40 in second year 10 years ago to less than 20 at the moment. And there's a lot of cringes, and I feel it too. It's just really horrible. So that's bad news. There's still so many stereotypes. I'm going to talk about that in a moment, and probably all of you see that. Girls in these STEM subjects are a marginalised group. And the problem there is, well, there's 2 problems. One, they're a small group and they don't see anyone else around them similar to their situation. They don't see female lecturers or tutors and that sort of thing. They may not have had female teachers in that area, so this is a real problem. I'll show you this. Okay, so this is the problem with any marginalised group, or any minority. If you have the main group and then someone's bad at maths, it's just, that's you, that's an individual thing. But if you have that marginalised group, and that one person is bad at maths, apparently the whole group, okay, it becomes a stereotype, and this is a really big issue. Okay, we have the imposter syndrome, which girls are really susceptible to. Does everyone know what the imposter syndrome is?
Oh, yes. And the extension of that, I was actually sitting here thinking, is it because those years ago, women still had hope that they'd be able to make it into those fields really well as a large group, and now they're seeing that that's not so successful, and so they're going, well, why bother trying? Because even those that do try aren't making it, they're thinking it's 7 too soon.
That's certainly one of the reasons, and I've got a whole list of ideas or reasons that girls think that why women aren't going into these areas at the moment. Yeah. So there's imposter syndrome, and then there's gender bias. This one really gets me. There's studies of people, professors, both male and female, being sent the exact same resume for a PhD position. The only thing that's changed is the name, whether it's male or female, and both the women and the men are just as equally gender biased in their decision as to whether they employ this person or not. So I think as a whole we need to look at ourselves about the gender bias. Okay, so what are the girls saying? So I asked them what they thought, this is first year undergraduate students, what they thought was the reason why girls are dropping out of physics. There's no attractive career path. We have no mentors that they can see. And I think that's no visible female role models. Often they don't get to third year until they see a female role model. And this is something we're looking at in the department. Physics is apparently too hard for girls. It's a lonely place. There aren't many other girls, so they don't really want to be there. Girls are better suited to biology. This is what the girls are saying, and this is not necessarily something that they think might be perceived by society, although some did mention that. Most of them, I think, truly believe this. And a big one, I'd say about half of the students are actually saying to me, girls are as good at maths or physics as boys are. And that's why they're not doing it.
I was saying that in high school. I'm a big physics teacher, later down on the line there, and when I talk to some of the really confident Year 10 girls, why they're not picking physics, they say they'd rather do biology and they're not that good at maths or physics anyway. And they already have that in their heads before they get to first year at university. They're doing it well earlier than first year.
Okay, and I've just looked another. Okay, so this is a graph, right? This is very typical of the career structure in STEM, where we've got the males around about your PhD undergraduate level. It's fairly even, and then by the time you get to the end of your career, this is why we're not seeing females. And this is the L'Oreal survey, the same thing. This is the entire academic research area of the UK. Same deal. Awesome comment, which I don't have time for, but basically she's saying that I'm only doing science because, this one, because there was a teacher when I was in Year 12 that told me I wasn't very good at maths. So I'm only doing science and landing a spacecraft on an asteroid because I wanted to prove you wrong. And I can't tell you how many people I speak to, how many women I speak to, and that is the sole reason that they're stuck with science, which is really sad, but I'm so glad they did, because they do amazing things. So where to start? We need more female role models. We need to think about our own unconscious bias, and there's Harvard have a special test designed to run awesome PD for the whole school, I think. We need to encourage girls to try harder. We tend to protect our girls and stop them from working harder or challenging themselves. And I see it with my friends and their little kids and how different we treat our boys and girls, just to even be aware of it. We need to better educate our students, schools and parents about the prerequisites for STEM, because a lot of girls get to university and realise that they should have taken physics or maths because now they're career paths. Yeah, I think we should get on the STEAM boat. Thank you for that joke there. But let's introduce arts. Yes. STEM. I think that's great. I brought Louise, I'm almost finished, along today. She's from Pasco Vale Girls College, and she's done some amazing things with her girls. There's 10 girls got their telescope licenses in. They've got a car motor in the physics room. Here they are all making their motors, and they were instructed to go home and not let their dads and the brothers play with it.
I'm not allowed to let a boy touch it. It's just for you to get working.
no one else. Yeah. They get very possessive. And probably the most amazing lesson I think Louise told me about is she got all the staff to bring in their broken electronic equipment and the girls just ripped it apart and just played for hours. They said, can we break it? I said, hell yeah, break it. I brought in hammers and saws and screwdrivers and yeah, they loved it. They just loved catching things to pieces. Amazing. And they got a lot of feminist hackathon, you know, overstayed my welcome. But
And Mighty Girl. You follow Mighty Girl?
Yeah. She's brilliant. The Lego women activities, and yeah, so there's a lot of strong role models out there, which is kind of fun. You can check out girls. And it also goes the reverse as well. What about the boys who want to do So this is what our parents encourage our kids to do. So, doctor with boys, with yeah, this teacher. I'm sorry, that's girls and that's boys.
No, that's all right. I'd love to keep listening. I'm having trouble telling, but I'm keeping us on time because we've got an activity starting here a bit later, but we'll keep to Sarah. I got a question because I've got a 2.5-year-old girl who I'm very fearful of her, not wanting to. Not that I want to push her into physics, but certainly I will gently encourage her in that direction. But I'm just curious, is there strategies, because the early years, the 0 to 5 are so crucial in the development of a lot of attitudes.
Absolutely. There was a study done, they gave preps in grade 1s a task. They had to draw a scientist, and they all drew just anything. By grade 2, they got them to do the same task. They were all drawing Einstein, olive coat, fuzzy hair, white hair. So those stereotypes set in at about 8.
Yeah.
What can we do? The iPad's awesome with so many coding programs for little kids. There's science. Bring them to Scienceworks. My girls are complete geeks. The Star Wars, Lego, science stuff.
So we're science by the pink Lego.
My girls take them out in the shed with you. Shoes they can use hammers and saws, like anything that you do, they do as part of it.
I'm going to put my talk up on the website, Telescopes and Tools, and a whole heap of references as well, which I referred to.
Yeah, ready to go. Hi everyone, my name is Chris Hart and I work at John Monash Science School. So fascinating to hear Jacinta's talk, where we have about 50-50 girls and boys, which is wonderful, and lots of girls doing physics and fantastic things like that. I did a French degree, which is a humanities degree, and my actual dissertation was in 17th century French tragic drama. So yeah. What I want to talk about today, and to be honest, I haven't planned any content for this deliberately because, and I added in the word authentic because everything I've seen so far today, especially Jacqueline, the thing around history, the thing around coding, it's all in a good plan for learning, design learning, but indeed designing authentic learning is so much more important. So if you want to follow along, there's a little link there to the slide deck. And I'm going to come out of this, and I'm going to tell you how I design learning. So this can be over a long period of time, it can be over a short period of time. It can be one lesson, it might be a lot of weeks. At John Monash, we use the phased learning cycle to design learning. So every lesson, every time period starts with an engager, so something to engage kids either in learning which has come before, or indeed a taste of what's going to come next. And then we're going to give an overview of learning, where does this learning fit in the bigger picture, the context of what we're doing. We're going to talk about learning outcomes, and I'm not going to necessarily tell you what those learning outcomes are. I'm going to aim to co-construct them with you. Then there's a part of input and construction. So Where do you get input from? Often it's a textbook or a teacher. Well, unfortunately, that's, or fortunately, indeed, there are so many other ways to get that input. But really importantly, to give learners time to construct understanding themselves. Once they construct or start to construct that understanding, we want them to demonstrate. So we want them to show what they've learned. And then, very importantly for us, is we want them to reflect on how they've learned. So we build this phased learning cycle. It's not a lesson plan. It's a flowing kind of, and it doesn't necessarily go always in that order. But it's a way for us to actually structure learning. So what I'm going to try and do is to plan a lesson in this 5.5 minutes I have left. So would anybody like to suggest a topic? I thought lightning. That might fit here. Yeah. Lightning. So I need to spark curiosity and connect learning. So I'll book the kids in, we'll come and do a visit to Scienceworks, that's one of the things. But obviously one of the really authentic uses of, or one of the sort of areas where there are a lot of authentic resources, if you can find my, is on video on YouTube. So if I go for lightning, Melbourne. There was that big storm a few weeks ago. I don't know if anybody got up there and watched it on a Sunday night. Incredible.
This is really photos too.
Yeah, that's quite a long video, but yeah, that's what that means. So I'm going to just quickly get a video. I'm going to insert that in as my engager. So when the kids enter in that learning space, we're going to look at this video of the lightning storm which happened a few weeks ago. So it's very easy to quickly get that authentic resource there, not having to worry too much. Now, what's the overview? As not a science teacher, as a French and Spanish teacher, what does it fit into? Earth sciences, that kind of thing? I'm sure there's some rubbish curriculum outcome. Curriculum outcome, and let's call it 1, 4, 5, 8, 9, 7. And then also, because lightning is cool, is our other overview. Why we're actually learning this. So, what I want to talk about now is let's talk about our learning outcomes. And traditionally, they're going to be, this is what you will know at the end of this lesson. Now, I believe our job is not just to teach kids content, it's to help kids develop as learners and as people. So we break our learning outcomes into some transferable outcomes as well as specific outcomes. So by the end of this session, we will understand, I'm not going to even try to type without mistake, understand how lightning forms impact on humans, sort of like that, and where lightning strikes. So they're kind of my outcomes for this lesson that we're playing together. Now, what kind of mindset do I want the kids to do? I'm going to set them off to do some research. So I want them to have a bit of a growth mindset. So there's not necessarily a right answer to this. We're going to go and look for it. I want them to have a research mindset. The skills that I'm going to get them to use are indeed research as a skill, and that's something that Jan and I were talking about a moment ago about how you get really authentic research going on. So on research skills, they're going to work together, so I'm going to get them to work collaboratively. Let's see that there. The tools we're going to use search. We're going to use our Scienceworks visit that we did last week. There's stuff that we take away from that, and it might be that's YouTube. We're going to look at how we're going to do some mapping of lightning strikes. So let's look at using mind maps.
And could we also have them reflecting on their own personal mindset associated with lightning in terms of the experiences they've already had?
Ooh. So connecting to what they know already about lightning, that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Let's do that in the next bit, which beautifully takes us on to
segue
into this. So our overview is looking at learning context, learning outcomes, looking about what and how the kids are going to learn. Now, personalization, just a quick strategy I wanted to show you is you can do lots of quizzes. Everyone knows how to do quizzes online. Well, I haven't actually got any questions in here because I wasn't sure what topic we were going to do, but I'll do it now. How well do you think you understand how lightning forms? I'm going to say, I don't get it at all. How well do you think you understand where lightning strikes? I'm going to say, I know it strikes around me. And we could maybe one of those questions, Jan, say, or we could ask like, what are your past experiences of lightning, that kind of thing. So we can make these quite personal and submit that. I'll very, very quickly submit another response because what I want to show you is, as a teacher view, that's for Jan there. So Jan is a genius around lightning and all that. So we'll go over here, and we're going to submit that as well. Okay, so, but what it does give us as a teacher is this view here of us in a spreadsheet. When Fred's gone in and done it, thank you, Fred. Who's Fred? Thank you. So this gives me a view as a teacher. I can have this, separate. I can actually see that Chris has no idea how lightning forms. Neither does Greg, but Jan does. Let's organise the class into different groups so we can actually start grouping people together in the understanding that they think they have about lightning or whatever it might be. So I'm kind of trying to personalise that a little bit there. Very, very quickly, I need some input. So how am I going to find out more about lightning? I'm trying to go to the Scienceworks. Lots of things on video and things like that. I can also go to Google Tables, which is quite a neat tool. And it's a search engine which runs on the back of Google, but it only finds data tables. So I can find lightning strikes. I might be able to get some tables and that kind of stuff. So this is an American one. Get kids looking at the different types of things, how lightning strikes. What I like then them to do is to go on in task, the construction task. I want them to actually, okay. So go to my maps, which is great if you have to use my maps, and plot the data of lightning strikes. First, I'm just going to get them to have a look at where those kind of lightning strikes come from. Then really importantly, I want them to show that back to me. I want them to share that collective in our class, and we're going to give them some critique on how to improve that understanding. Look at the misconceptions, which is a really important thing in science. How do we get over those misconceptions? Try and draw them out and share them as a class. And really, really importantly, is also spending a little bit of time on how well students have learned, so metacognition around the skills that they've used. And we can either do things like this, Connect, Extend, Challenge, which is a really simple metacognitive framework, or we can look back at our learning outcomes. How good was your growth mindset? How good were your research skills? Let's unpack them a little bit more. It's not about lightning, it's about those learning skills. And that's me done. Thank you very much. Can I just show one thing, just to pick up on Cynthia's point? This is one of the projects running at Monash Science School. It's Emerging Sciences Victoria, where we're teaching face-to-face lessons in quantum physics, astrophysics, nanoscience, nanotechnology, bioinformatics to kids across rural Victoria, particularly across rural Victoria. So have a look at that, and we'd love you to get involved if you're interested. And finally, one more professional learning opportunity. Slide that in. Next Saturday, if you haven't had enough professional learning on Saturday, there is a Wellbeing Google Educators Group event, which has yoga and PT boot camp and healthy breakfast. It's in Mentone, in Bayside, followed by sessions on Google Apps for Education. So you're welcome to come on to that.
Can you share that, please?
I'll tweet it out.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Anybody have any questions for this meeting? Sorry. Or we can keep things rolling along.
Okay, so make a mindset past that. Is there somewhere where you can get the mindset like ideas?
I think we talk about sort of learner attributes and being optimistic and inquisitive, and I think lots of schools talk about that. And if your school doesn't have that as a kind of framework, it's worth what are the learner attributes and mindsets that we want to develop, and develop your own within that school, but then do something with them. Don't just have them stuck on the wall. Actually integrate them in the finance course. I'm happy to share our development framework with you.
If you do a bit of research, International Baccalaureate Primary Use Program, their attitudes and attributes and their trend skills are really good for that sort of
Great, thank you. My name is Sarah Josephine. I'm a PhD researcher in Denmark, actually. I'm visiting here at the University of Aalborg, and I'm in Melbourne for two reasons. One of them is I got the amazing opportunity to have a research day with the Immigration Museum, so definitely couldn't say no to that. And the second reason is because I'm currently identifying strategic partners for a community platform for online education that I co-founded with two of my great friends called Our Common Future. And I'm going to talk about Our Common Future and the educational model that we're using for face-to-face, action-oriented online classes. So just a little bit about Our Common Future. So Our Common Future is what we believe a groundbreaking provider in online education, and it's a platform for people who care about our common future. And we form strategic partnerships with universities, with NGOs, with basically anyone who has something that they want to say, and they want students to hear it. And we facilitate, the action-oriented face-to-face online classes, currently for a global audience between 15 and 20 years old. That's because those are that's the age group that our current providers and partners are working with. We definitely want to do both older and younger audiences in the future. So I think it's important to state that we basically got the idea in February, launched a beta test class in June, and then had our first class in October. It's a 5-week class, and I'll talk a little bit more about that, but we currently run it live in 3 different regions across the globe 3 times a year. Now the classes are on topics we think are really important for our common future, but that aren't necessarily touched upon in all high schools. So sustainable development as an independent topic, human rights, entrepreneurship, they're all designed at giving kids the tools to change the world, not just hear about how messed up it is on the news or in their classrooms, and empower them to make changes in the real world outside of the virtual space. So for the first class, we partnered up with an educational provider called United World College. They do the IB program. They have 14 schools around the globe. And we decided to do the first class on sustainable development because you can really do a lot of different topics. So we took the UN Sustainable Development Goals as our point of departure. And as I said, we ran the first actual class in October. We had 200 students from about 45 different countries that took part in it, just recruiting them from Facebook and Twitter and from the educational providers network. So for us, when we decided to do this class, we talked about the methodology. And for us, it was a requirement that the students would receive mentoring, that they would learn face-to-face, and that they would make friends from all over the world. So basically what we think is wrong with the MOOC model is that, you aren't accountable. No one knows if you shows up. You never get to see anyone face-to-face. And there's all this learning and thinking going on online, but it's never translated to the real world. Why are we talking about sustainable development? Why are we talking about recycling of it? So to translate to the second point, that we wanted to empower the students to do a community project, and in order to graduate, they actually had to commit to and start doing their offline project during the 5 weeks of the program. And since there are only 3 people, we started thinking about how the hell are we going to do this? 200 kids, we're going to meet with them face-to-face. That seems like a lot of work. We all have jobs on how we can do this. But then we figured out that when you quite keen on providing a part of their infrastructure, especially their human infrastructure. So United World Colleges provided us with 20 volunteers, anything from back-end developers to teachers to people who had graduated a long time ago who currently had their own NGOs. So they became the mentors and the lecturers, so speakers and mentors were recruited from their network. And we came up with a model for our online education called the Virtual Immersion Program. And I think the best way to understand what that is to take you through what it's like to be in the course. So I'm going to talk about an average week and how to kind of get the students excited before we launch the class. So for this first class on sustainable development, we asked the students to vote on which 3 topics they wanted to learn about. So we're running it live in 3 different locations at the same time. They vote on their topics, so we're covering different topics in different areas. Then for week 1, we teach them about design thinking. Because again, you have to remember that they have to do a community project. So it isn't just about teaching them knowledge. And then during the final week of the program, we teach them about project management. So before we start the class, we created a closed Facebook group for all the students where they all uploaded introductory videos of them and their pets and their friends and them, playing violin or whatever. It was super overwhelming and inspiring to see 200 kids from so many different countries share pieces of themselves online. And we really use that forum throughout the course to have students engage and really form friendships. And it's cool to see now that kids are posting pictures and meeting each other actually outside of the virtual world when they go on vacation. That's really cool. Okay, I'm almost done. But so then on any given Sunday, we release a curriculum, and we just release a couple of videos, maybe one piece of text, and then we ask the students to be, co-create. So we ask them to post something related to the topic from their own national context. On Wednesdays, we have speakers live 3 different time zones. where the students using the Google On Air software can ask them questions live. And then on Thursday, we meet with the students face-to-face, 8 students, 2 mentors, and talk to them about what they've learned this week. Then by Saturday, they're expected to turn in some kind of assignment that they work on across national borders, and they can submit that in any format they like. It could be a song, it could be a PowerPoint, whichever they want. And just, because I'm running out of time, I'll show this really quickly. So we're currently building a community platform online where you can look at all the classes. So we're actually offering 3 classes in January now, expanding our reach. Then this is from the project section of the website. So we currently have about 100 students who have started projects in their real communities. So this is just a screenshot of some of the community projects that are being done in the sustainability category. So we see we have students from Venezuela, Italy, Thailand that are currently actually doing projects. And you can engage with the students here online, ask them questions, decide to join our project if you're around, post pictures from it. Yeah, so basically, and the final thing I'll say is under the Your Impact tab, we're currently working on how we can measure the individual's impact, how we can measure different regional impact or entire community's impact, and how we can do community challenges to really empower the students to see both, how can I as an individual contribute to making a better future, but also how can we as a group and as society, when we work together, actually make a global impact. Thank you.
I sprung this on Sarah yesterday. She might come down with it. So thank you.
Do you have any questions for Sarah at all?
What's been your biggest challenge?
There's a couple of different things. Definitely teaching the students about the software. That's never been our strongest side. So actually teaching them how to use something we had to learn while we're doing the class ourselves has definitely been a big challenge. But I think we're constantly trying to negotiate how can we make something really interactive, how can we really motivate students to do something offline while teaching them online. And can you truly form these personal connections using an online medium? But I think we're trying to find ways in which to do it.
All right, folks, we're just about to evacuate this space. I've noticed that many people weren't here earlier. I have thoroughly enjoyed myself and got some fantastic ideas out of today. And I think it's been a great sequence of presentations. Cam, did you have any closing remarks?
No, just feel free to hang around. Thanks for coming. Thanks to the TM people for letting us host. And I think Mel's got something very quick that she wants to say.
Yes, I would just like to thank our 3 organisers from across Melbourne, Victoria, for coming along to today's, organising today's TeachMeet. The morning tea, the location, the lighting show, it's been a fabulous opportunity for all of us, so thank you very much. Our next TeachMeet is, we'll kick off at the start of next year, February 7th, thank you. It's hosted by DLTV and it's the TeachMeet in the Pub. I can announce a little bit, the Leveson Hotel in North Melbourne. It's not quite on the here, but it will be. And there'll be finger food, etc. there, so please put your name down for that. And if I could just take another 30 seconds, I do just want to Celia Cooper, who pretty much leads up TeachMeet, was the first person to get it off the ground, but it started here, has become the 2014 Educator of the Year. On behalf of the TeachMeet community, thank you so much for all of the work, the effort, the passion and the inspiration that you've put into TeachMeet and everything that you do in education. I know we're very proud to have you as part of our TeachMeet community and Educator of the Year, and I can't think of anyone more deserving, any more humble, and anyone who's going to kill me more than